Good morning. See a few faces here. I'll let a few more trickle in a second. I did post the link to the slides, so you can get a head start if you want to take a look and follow along at home. So there's a link on the session page. So if you go into the session page, scroll down the bottom, you can grab the slides there. I'll do a share in a second. But good to see some of you. This is being recorded. I'm totally okay with people coming onto video, coming off mute, asking questions, interrupting, adding, and making comments. Hop in today. So I've got the slides, but you're very much okay to come and join. I'm happy this is camp. It's collaborative. Part of what this is oh, hey, awesome. Thanks, John. See, John's already on it. He's got the notes.
You
Um,
know,
he's helping out. I'll try to watch the chat. For some questions and things too. But if you can too, also help. So if you see
sure, yeah,
things and I miss it or something, you can just let me know that there's
sure,
something in there.
yeah. Thank you, sir. So, hello everyone. Welcome to this session, enhancing collaboration, the power of RFC process, presented by sorry, from Stanford Web Services. I think we are having some interesting session this morning. So, welcome everyone once again. Please feel free to type your questions you may have during the presentations in the chat. We ask that you please keep your mics muted throughout the presentation. We'll make sure to answer them at the end. This session will be recorded and posted to the webcam website after the event. Yeah, thank you, sir. Please,
Oh,
you can
thank
start.
you. I've already broken all the rules on this, so all right, let's get into it. Let me do a share and I'll set up the presentation. And then we'll get going. All right, where's all the Zoom buttons? And making sure that everybody can see all the things. I'm going to assume my audio and video is all good and everybody can read anything. John, if you give me a thumbs up, then this looks okay. I think you're all right. All
Yes,
right,
this
cool.
looks. If it's possible, you can make a full screen.
Make it a little bigger.
Yeah.
Let's see. Does that make it bigger?
No, maybe trying the slideshow.
Hmm. Okay, hold on. Let me try this one more time then for you. I'm presenter mode, and I can't zoom. Hmm. I'll try to shrink my screen a little bit and see, maybe I'll reshare and see if that helps. Is that readable?
If you could try pressing F11.
Yeah, I did the plus, and I'm at 175% zoom, but it's not zooming in on presenter mode. I don't know why.
Okay, that's fine. So we can start.
In Zoom, when you're watching a screen share, there is a zoom option. I can't remember where it is, but if somebody can find it and help you zoom in, you can actually like manually zoom your own too. So I do apologize for not being able to make that bigger, but hopefully this is okay. There's a link to the slides again in the session. So if you want to, you don't have to follow my screen share. You can follow at home as well. And these are the exact same slides, so you should be able to hop in. But welcome. This is the introduction to RFC. This is the Hansen collaboration. This is a presentation at the beginning of WebCamp about documentation. So please be sure you are in the right session and that you want to stay, because if everybody goes, I get a free session. All right. Who am I? My name is Shane McKinney. You might have seen my little Lego head kind of floating around on the internet. I'm a technical architect lead with Stanford Web Services. Been with this group for, I don't know, 11 years or so. I am physically north of the border. So I'm up in Scarborough, BC, and been doing this for some time now. I'm fully remote, and I've been doing the fully remote thing the whole time. So that's part of where the passion for this process and documentation has come from. So again, please do hop in, jump in on stuff as you want. I am happy to answer questions as we go. But we'll start off with the first question. What is an RFC? Hope everybody's waiting. Are you ready for this? Okay. It's a document. And a process. Okay. It's a lot of things. So I just want to make it clear that it's like we are talking about documentation, but the important part is like there's also a process around it. So writing things down is very important, but what you do with those words is more important. So this process, this document, is a process that's supposed to help you standardize your communication, provides transparency with others. It could be, your peers, it could be public, it could be a whole bunch of different places. It encourages collaboration. So the whole idea with this is that it is a request for comments. You want people's feedback. You're looking for them to be engaged. You're looking for them to communicate with you. You're looking for them to provide feedback. So it encourages collaboration. Gets your feedback, and it documents things as you go. So this is also something that it can also help you in gaining approvals or a consensus on something, but it's not necessary. So this is not necessarily a way to get sign-offs, not a contract. However, it is a really good way to come to a consensus or to come to to form an opinion or a process or a path forward on something. I know it's a bold claim. It's a lot of things for one document, but this has been around for a long time. So the RFC is not new. In fact, if you are here, you probably work on the internet and do things on the internet. This started right around the birth of the internet. So with ARPANET, so ARPANET being sort of the first version of what the internet is today, they have been a part of the development and the documentation of its standards, protocols, procedures, and events. There's a Wikipedia link in there, and it's an official document of the Internet Engineering Task Force. The people who build the internet, the thing that you work on, use this process. It is important to them. They develop, they own it. So this is not new. It's not special in the sense that it's just for certain niche groups. This is something that's been around and in this industry forever. So who is using it? Airbnb, Affirm, Algolia, Asana, Blue Apron, you get the idea. A lot of people are. There's a whole bunch of lists. This is not a complete list. A lot of major companies, startups, internal groups, there's a lot of individuals are using this. And they have different ways of using this and different practices and different reasons to. There's a
Well,
lot of people using
it
it.
was sorry about that. Yeah, it was over we overlooked it. We didn't, it's a camp. We didn't test it properly.
What did we test
Sorry
properly?
about that.
Uh-oh, we got somebody off mute. Where's Arena? I thought I heard Arena. All right. There's a question there? I'm gonna move on. All right. We did talk about this being birth internet. We are in a technical sort of role. I'm a technical role in my job. But are RFCs just for technical people? Wait for it. Wait for it. No, they're not. They can be anybody. You can use this process. You can use the documentation. You can make it for you. This is not something that is just for writing down technical specs. There's other documents and things for that. So stay in the room, continue to learn. You can make this yours. If you're not a technical person, don't worry. This is for you too. But why would you need one? Why do I need one? I got some good quotes here from HashiCorp. I like this because it gets into the detail points I'm going to get into in a second. But these are really good quotes from individuals. They talk about the power of it. So the first one here, I'm going to read a few of these to you because it's fun to read things off a slide. The process of writing encourages thoughtfulness, and it's incredibly valuable for everyone to have easy access to context on what a decision is and how it was made, including the options we decide against. That last one is that last part is a really important piece of that quote. The other options you weighed, the reasons why you didn't go with another thing. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at my code and looked at my decisions in the past and go, why did I do that? What? Where's going on here? But there are reasons. Things happen in context at the time for the amount of time you have, the amount of money you have, the skills, the staff, the availability, the resources, whatever it be. Things happen for a reason. There's forces at play, and it is really important to know that you did choose a path and the reasons why you chose that path, but also the other paths you considered and why you didn't. Those are important. HashiCorp's writing culture is our superpower. We get to see how our colleagues think, emulate those processes, and get smarter ourselves. So this is the whole transparency and sharing aspect to it. And so when you write things down and you share it with others, you are also sharing your knowledge. Those that may not be directly involved with the project can read that, understand it, grow, learn, And you yourselves, when you get something back with feedback, you also grow and learn. So that's really important there. Writing is one of the reasons why HashiCorp can successfully operate across time zones. It's tempting for teams to work in one region and make decisions synchronously and skip the step where options are written down. Reminding ourselves that all communication should be inclusive of everybody no matter where they are based. And it is an important factor for building a resilient team in a remote company. So this personally is good for me because I'm fully remote and I have been fully remote from day one. I am fortunate to be in the same time zone, so that doesn't have, but we have others in our team that are not. And I've worked in other groups and organizations where they're very far away. We've had vendors we've worked with that are in different time zones, like across the world. We've had like daytime, nighttime, like day shift, nighttime shift type of organizations. And so to have these things written down, shared, and being asynchronous and available, you are lowering the level of entry for everybody to be a participant in a decision, to have access to that information, to be able to get in things in a timely manner. So it is an awesome way to communicate when you have people that are in more than one place. And we work in a world where a lot of people are. So on those things, we talked about a few different topics. One of them is the standardization of communication. So having a document can help, and I can encourage you within your teams, and we'll talk about the templates later, to create a document or to take a template that is yours. And I encourage you to do it with the people you're communicating with because you can get the important to me parts in there. So not the whole document will always be relevant to everybody, but everybody will have an important me part when they can quickly identify where it is, take in that information, provide the feedback, and move on. So it gives you some structure as well. So I don't know about you, but I'm very fortunate to work in a team that's very good about documentation. We write a lot of documentation. It's in a lot of different places and in a lot of different formats. John's smiling because this is one of the challenges we have too. So having documentation everywhere and in different formats and things is good to a point, but often we need the help of the person who wrote that to A, find it, and to B, understand it. Standardization will help findability and understandability. These things, if you don't have a good process of writing things down, you don't have that culture, these things also encourage that culture. Once individuals see the impact or are given the opportunity to write things down, they do. So it helps encourage you to get into that process. So if you're not already there, it can help you get into there. And again, the quality of access to information. Transparency is also really important in the way that we do. So if we are looking to build relationships and trusts with others, transparency is a great way of doing that. Writing things down, sharing it, providing feedback, changing, manipulating things together, doing that in an open and public place. And public can mean whatever it is to you, public meaning your team or your organization or the world. You can choose your scope. But it is a way that it is open and shared. You're not hiding it, you're showing it, you're working in a glass room. So the feedback is what you're really looking for. This part of it. So documenting one thing, but that feedback, that communication, that collaboration part is a really big part of this. And so this one gives you the opportunity to get that feedback. And feedback and writing things down before you start things is really, really powerful in the sense that it often lowers costs for the work that you're doing, produces less bugs or issues in the thing you're working on. You get a better final result because you get more input, you weigh all the options, and then you learn more off the start. So getting these things in before you execute on something. So the idea of this document is you're doing this before you start something. This isn't an after the fact. This is a before the fact thing. You end up with a better final product and a happier team overall. It also documents your decisions and change, so they get you a historical record of what happened and why. Again, I talked about how, like, why did I do that thing back then? And again, so there's always sorts of impacts of reasons why things exist the way they do or the choices that were made. It is good to document those things so that you have that for you for later. So when you are trying to make a new choice or have more time or resources available to you, you can move forward with previous knowledge about why you did something and can make a educated decision about what change you want to make and why not. We also talked about asynchronous work. So again, these things really help if you have large teams hard to get at people. So if you have individuals that are just booked up all the time, they're, have a fancy title, you just need to get something out of their nose, you can create small documents that can get them and get their feedback on. If you have, even this works with fast-paced environments too. This isn't necessarily a slow process. This can actually be something that you need quick asynchronous feedback, but people are not all available at the same time. And open source uses this process a lot. So a lot of the open source projects you out there will have an RFC style process out there in which you'll see on like their GitHub or wherever, where they'll put out documents in which they are soliciting community feedback to go and move forward on a decision on things. So some cool stuff. These documents and this process can also be used for approvals, but it's not necessarily required. So this is one of those things that you can get out of this process. But if you are seeking approval, that's great. You can go for that. You can get a sign off on the document. That would be awesome. But if you don't, that's totally fine. That's not a thing that has to happen. If you are finishing your document and you want to move forward, then please do make sure you still have whatever approvals or input or buy-in from your leadership before moving forward on it. Just because you've had all the collaboration doesn't mean you're done or it's okay to go. Please make sure that you are still following the rules of your organization and moving forward. This will help though. This will help you move it. This will get it open. People will know. Okay, that's a lot of like all the awesomeness, like that's all the bold claims. So like, okay, how do we actually do this thing? So again, remember, it's not just the document, it's the process. So you've heard a little bit about this. So it's a 5-step process. Not too bad. You don't have to do 11 steps. It's only 5. You have to write the thing. It has to exist. So there you go. That's an easy one. Then you have to share it with others. And so that's the part of soliciting the feedback out. So you write something, you share it with others, asking for their feedback. Expect to also then present it to them. So give an opportunity for those to provide feedback before you actually have a chance to present it. You will present it to them over Zoom or something, and then we'll bring it back. Then you'll get a feedback cycle. I'll get into these bullet points a little bit more in a second. You'll get into a feedback cycle as you're working through any questions or comments and things that are in there, and then you close the document. It's done. It's not a living document. These things end. Okay, who writes it? Anyone. That's the easy answer. That's an easy answer. I hate that answer, but anyone can write it. But they don't have to be big or small. But who is gonna write it? It's somebody who is really in charge of either like a large part of the thing that you're working on or like a core part of it. So there's somebody who is invested in getting feedback or moving something forward. That's usually the person who takes charge. You don't have to do it yourself. You can get co-collaborators and other things in there, but each document should have, I like to call champions. So it's somebody who is responsible or the person who's really driving that forward. So it's your document champion. This is the person that you go to first if you have a question, or somebody who's basically in charge of making sure that this thing continues. And I challenge yourself. You can be that champion. You can start this. Okay. Start with the template. You don't have to write everything from scratch all the time. That takes a lot of time. The ChatGPT now, that's also really handy. It can do a lot of writing for you. It also knows about a lot of these templates on the internet. There's a ton out there. There's lots. And so I put a link to one of those. And I encourage you to go have a look. You can go and browse. You can ask ChatGPT. You can create your own. I'll share some examples later on this as well. But the idea is that you're trying to get information for you and your organization. Make it yours. So there's a few things, a few strategies on what to include that we'll talk about, but really go out there and have a look and see what out there, see what fits. Don't start from scratch. There's lots, like it's been around for a long time. There's tons of documentation and case studies and examples that are out there. So go have a look. All right, step 1, you start writing. So start filling out your template. Start with your template. Put all the information that you feel is important. Get it out there. These documents are only as good as the words that you write. So put some love into it. Get in there, put some details, and be verbose about what you want to get feedback on. It's in there. You can get a co-collaborator to help you to fill it out. So you don't have to write all yourself, but somebody does have to fill this out. And it could be somebody, and it could be some buddies. But I encourage you to be that champion, take on the writing it, work with somebody, and then before you share it out with others. It is good to do this in a tool that allows you to easily share it and also easily solicit comments. So something like Google Docs. If you're in a technical group, you can use GitHub or Confluence or other places, but you want something that has a commenting tool or a commenting feature on it. So whatever thing, if you want to use Miro or I don't, whatever, it's fine. But try to have something that makes it easy to share and easy to comment on, because you want to have some feedback cycle. You want to have a way to communicate and have back and forth. Okay, so you've written it, you've got your collaborator, you've got a document, and it's not done, but it's good enough. I encourage you to share things early as possible, before it's done. And it's not going to be done until you get feedback, but before you feel even like ready really to share it, start sharing it. You can work on it as you go. The whole idea is that it's supposed to be a working document when you first send it, and you're supposed to solicit feedback and help on this document. So get it to a place where it's good enough, and you can decide what that means, the GE, and then send it to your audience and ask them for comments and edits right away. Don't hesitate. Like, let them get in there. Let it get messy. Let them get involved. If you got a tool, like I use Google Docs primarily, and they can provide suggestions. They can add comments. They can just blah stuff in there. There's a history. It's all fine. The idea is that you want to create as little friction as possible to provide that feedback and things. And you want to get it in there as early so they become part owner of it as well. So the more they're involved, the more that they buy in, the more that they're interested in the success of this thing. But when you share it, don't always expect them to actually look at it. This is one of those things. People are busy, people have reasons. Reading sometimes takes too long. I put a TLDR on my RFCs now, so that you get a blurb and most people read that and scroll off. So that's where the purpose of the presentation happens. So you want to give individuals a chance, though, to consume your document before presenting it to them. Give them a chance to really buy in. And in fact, those that really get engaged early, when you get to that presentation, you're basically just getting sign off at that point. So if there's different levels of success I've had as far as the collaboration point. So don't always expect them to read it. So your presentation can be that formal. You go through everything, they absorb the information. You would hope that those would take it and find the time to really get into it beforehand, but you can't always ask everybody and their time to do that. So schedule a meeting, 1 week after sharing it to give some time for them to review. If you need things done quicker, you can do it quicker. It's up to you, but really the important aspect to take away here is like give opportunity to consume it before talking about it. And then when you present, depending on how your audience or your individuals that you shared it with have been involved, you can actually allow for a couple different ways to do this. You can give them some eye time. You can even take like 10, 15 minutes in the beginning of a meeting just to let people read. It's quiet time, it's eye time. You show up, you just let them get into it, read, digest before you formally walk it through. So you want to present this document to everybody, and you want to do it in a medium like Zoom, where a video, where it is high pace, high volume, high frequency communication. But you got to give them that little bit of time first. So if you have individuals who have digested it or fully understanding, you can like go through things quicker. They haven't taken a lot of time to get to that. Allow some eye time at the beginning to read through before getting the presentation. And it provides them the time for their brain to warm up, to absorb it, to start thinking about it. As you're presenting, go ahead, taking comments, like verbal ones. Don't expect them to like use the commenting tool on the device. Let them talk about it. Let them ask questions and get in there and just start massaging it right there. Get them involved, get them to help. You add things, change stuff. It's totally cool. And then don't always expect to get a ton of feedback right away. Some people take a lot of time to digest and to really understand things. So some people are high touch points, other individuals are lower. Give some time for those who need to digest, who need to absorb the information to provide that. So after you've presented, you still have a bit of time for asynchronous commenting. So you've written it, you've shared it with them ahead of time. Now you formally presented it. Now they have all the information. You know that they have it. You said your piece. Now it's on them to provide feedback. Asynchronous commenting then happens. So You go away after that presentation and you allow for comments, and you should be able to reply to them. So again, use a tool that allows you to get notifications for comments or changes, and get in there and go and answer questions, manipulate things, and get into that feedback loop where you're then going and getting the decision further along. So you're there to collaborate and get to a point. You're documenting the things you've tried, you're documenting the things that you're going to go forward with or agreeing upon, and you're resolving the questions and comments. Once you go through this feedback cycle, you can optionally sign off, schedule another like a sign off or review meeting where you go through it and get everybody to like basically on the same page and say, I'm done, I'm good, we're going to be signing this off. You don't have to. You can do that asynchronously. Well, you can just say, yes, document's closed, we've got a decision, we're moving forward, and notify people as well. So you get an option there. But then you close it. Once you get to a document, you've got the feedback you need. You may have some open questions. That's fine, but you've got the information you need, and you've collaborated with your team, and they've been notified, and they know what's happening. You can move forward. You're unblocked to move forward. Call it done. That's it. Close the commenting. Don't change it. Tell everybody about it. Publish it. Announce it. I have another internal meeting that we have a web service called Dev Chat. I'll share stuff that's not even related to the projects that individuals are working on. I'll share documentation. They can go read about it so that they're curious. They can know what's happening. So publish it out there and move on. So again, this is not a living document. This is not like support documentation. This is to get to a point, to get to a decision, and then you move on. So again, those 5 steps, somebody's got to write it. You can do it yourself. You can get a co-collaborator. I encourage you to get a template. I encourage you to create that template together in your organization to make sure everybody has the important to them parts. Write it. Soon as you're in a good enough state to share it, share it. Early is good in this case. Sharing this information sooner the better. Then schedule a presentation to formally announce or show or talk about it to the group. So you need to do this over a Zoom or in person, high frequency in-person presentation. Then expect a feedback cycle. So give them some time, put a deadline on the feedback. Like you don't want to leave it open forever, but gives them some time to adjust, to absorb, and to provide the feedback you're looking for. Once you've got to a resolution, you've got the things that you need, you can move forward, close the document, move on. Pause there. Questions on that so far? It's trying to get the layer bigger. Funny. Okay. Carol, you had a question?
There I am. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Little fuzzy, but I think I can understand you.
Sorry, I had the wrong headphones today. Uh, so what happens if you end up closing this and then you change your mind later, or you have more to think about later? How do you handle that? Or is that something you're going to get to later and then just
Oh, good
jump in
question.
the gun?
And so Robert, yes, we'll share a template. We'll get into that. I'll give you a few of those in a second here. So you have kind of 2 options. Well, you probably have more options, but 2 options that I use is when you're changing your mind or you're moving on something different. If you need more feedback, if you need more collaboration, if you need more like distribution of that knowledge, you can spin up another RFC just in that little tiny part of it, right? And you can reference the old one. So you can skip a lot of the writing and just get to the question that you have. Like an RFC can just be like, do I need to switch from SAML auth to OAuth? And the answer could be just simple as yes or no, because you already have those things available. You just need to make a decision on which path forward to go with. Like, it doesn't have to be a ton of document. And I'd use something technical. I could pick like, do we serve apples at lunch or bananas? If you need more feedback on something, then you can start a new document and you can reference the old document, and that's totally fine. Another tool that I use if I don't need that collaboration, if I have the authority or autonomy to make the next change, I have another process in which I use called, in the technical world, it's an architectural decision record, an ADR, which is another document that also documents change. It's a way to say I did something. And so depending on your needs as far as collaboration, documentation as far as the change record and approvals go, there's a couple of different tools you can use.
Okay, that's really helpful. I'm going to jump the gun here, but how do you remember to go back to this document after you've closed it?
So this document you don't need to go back to once you close it. It's kind of done, but it's there for you to reflect on later if you do need it. So once you have finished this, you really are moving on. It is kind of like the point in time. It's served its purpose until you get to something later in which you need to reference back. So if you have a public place that you've published this, you've told people, you have a structure where you put your documentation, like I have an RFC folder, I number these, I version these in Google, and I have them in our project folders, and I keep them there. And so I can go back into that project and see all my RFCs in one place. So they're all available. I reference them when I need to. Like the idea is that these things are not supposed to be, living documents to always refer back to. Is handy because if you want to make a decision later and you know that there's been RFCs, you can go back and look. If you get really fancy, so individuals can put these into an AI, put all these into an LLM, and then start asking your LLM stuff. If you want to get super fancy, but
Thank you.
there you go. All right, moving along. Okay, things that you might want to include in your template. Thought-provoking prompts and headings, or things. So I'll show you some links in a second, but a lot of what I set up in the templates that I have are thought-provoking leads, basically, for writing things out. In here we got stakeholders, alternatives that you've considered, any risks that you might associate with your choice, any goals and non-goals, things that you want to accomplish and are explicitly not trying to accomplish, any links to any other relevant documents. If you got a product requirement document, a functional requirement document, design documentations, a charter, or a sketch, or whatever, you should link out to those other things that you're using as reference. You should have a place for questions or any outstanding questions that you've left on the table when you're done. Dates and specific items of when things are due or required or when you presented, and then your definition of success. So these are good things to kind of add to that. I'll show you a few more. Here's a couple of examples. And so now I'm going to click on stuff and it's going to probably, okay, good, stay in there. Cool. You can see this okay? I'm going to zoom it in a little bit. So, a couple of things. This is my technical template I had. There's a lot of headings in here. And I've used these as prompts and I take out things that I don't want. So there's a lot of stuff in here right now, and I end up trimming it way down as I go through it. Or sometimes I use it all, depending on how big of a question I have or the thing I'm trying to get to. But the engineering document, put my name. So who am I? I tell it whether I put it the status, whether this is open or if it's in review or if the thing's been done or closed. I document the dates I present. Sometimes I present more than one time. And so this is a good thing to know, like, when did you actually share this with people? When did you share it out? When do you present it? Those are good things to have in here. And then links to like any other documents that are helping to support this one as well. This is an optional one. Put a table in here of the people I'm sharing with and whether or not I want their signature. So like if I am looking for approvals or just like to let them, sign off and saying, yeah, I read it, I'm happy, go ahead. You have this. This is a completely optional table. You can put that in there. I started off with a TLDR statement. It's a short statement trying to tell us what this document's about. What the problem is really that's in there. So to keep this one really short, that's in there. Then I give the value, why we should solve this, the value statement. Provided, in this case, I put an example in there as far as this template goes. So this one is really trying to sell your audience on what you're trying to do, what you're trying to solve. And what does success mean? So this is always a good one to have. So if we do solve it, what does it mean to be solved? So why should we solve it? And what does it mean when it is solved? And then the how I'm going to solve it. So this is the section that can grow a whole lot. And so I get into a lot of details here. And you can move these headings around and reorganize them and remove stuff and stuff. This is just an example that's in here. But this is where I get into the details of how I'm supposed to solve. So I get like really into the weeds here. And this is the stuff that is the meat of the document that I'm looking for feedback on. I want individuals to go and argue different points or opinions and processes and practices. I explicitly say what my goals and non-goals are. So things that I want to accomplish and things that I'm definitely not trying to accomplish it. And then lots of other optional headings. So basically everything is optional in here. I put these more as prompts for myself to say if I don't need it, whatever. So if I am going to implement the solution, what is the change management plan? So like things I forget a lot to add. So if I'm going to implement something, oh yeah, I gotta like let other people know. And oh yeah, we gotta like make backups and deploy things. And so it's good to have that information in there. If I've got a document, if this is a part of a large system or if it's just the feedback is on a system, it's good to provide a context diagram. So you can add charts and notes and things in here as well. If you have UI, it's good to provide that UI and you can actually add comments and annotations right in this document as well. Scenarios and edge cases, these are handy because we talk about the end user and a lot of these, if you write tests, a lot of these translate very nicely into tests and situations. So if you use Gherkin style tests, you can totally write stuff like that in here. Document any like APIs are going to be used, and then like you can also highlight anything like rate limits or access or tokens or keys and things that are going to be required, where data needs to live, pseudocode, examples of things, alternatives considered. So again, like I said, if we wanted to, I'm going to use auth as an example. You have a choice. You can use basic auth or SAML auth or OAuth or some other sort of key-based auth. You can put down what you've considered and the reasons why you didn't go with them. That's also a nice thing to know is why you didn't. And then for those that are in positions that are higher than me that want to know things like service SLAs and dependencies and performance and impact and security and metrics monitoring and how much things cost. Accessibility, so there's lots in here. I'm gonna skip through, but it gets down to any sort of like outstanding questions and risk association. So a lot of these are just like prompts for me to put in information that individuals can be notified about, but also provide additional additional feedback on. Like the risks one is always a nice one to have because you call out some risks and other individuals might see things also that you didn't see. So there's one. So there's a lot of headings. This can get big. I trim these things down. If I don't have code or APIs, whatever, just get rid of that on that thing. And then for the non-technical, sort of very similar in the sense where you put your champion, you put your status, whether it's progress, presentation, contributors, your TLDR, and then in this one again, you want to provide your value statement, so your background and your motivation, like why do you want to solve this problem? How do you solve this problem? And what does it mean when you do solve this problem? Those are sort of really three key things for the RFC, I find. The alternatives that are in there or anything that exists, your risks, the things that can go wrong, any mitigation that you want to have on those risks, timeline for implementation, any sort of dependencies you may have on others or other systems or things that are out there, and then your questions asked, answered, outstanding, and maybe a list of your next steps.
Shay, you have a question in the Zoom chat from Robert.
Robert, how do you work towards converging many disparate comments? Do you ever declare who is the final decision maker explicitly? Good question. So that does come down to the document champion or sort of the owner of the work for me. So often this will be the person who is writing. They're soliciting feedback, but they're in charge of the work. If you are soliciting feedback from your executive sponsor, you may want to consider them as your final feedback. So it kind of depends in your role in that. So a RACI in your project might be a good thing to have to help determine that. But often I champion the champion to be the person who gets to make those decisions that's in there. But it's the owner, really it is the owner of the work, usually at the end of the day. that a satisfactory answer? Did I just kind of like hand wave to like, if it's your boss, it's your boss's answer, but if you're doing the work, it's you? Thumbs up, good enough. Okay,
We
cool.
have a hand raised from John.
And then John, how do you decide if something requires an RFC? Good question. Okay, that does seem like a lot, huh? It's too much. There's a lot in there. There's lots of resources out there. So I'm going to get to your answer, John. Sashi goes through the list. There's templates. There's heavier process, and then there's a lightweight process as well. So the lightweight is really like quick and dirty. You have a short template. You've got a small amount of stakeholders, and you're really just kind of like doing one quick round of feedback out there. But I didn't have the other side. Took those out. Okay, so how do you decide if you want to have an RFC? That is totally up to you, and how much sort of like time, resources, and what type of communication you want to have. So for me, I lean towards this a lot because I end up working in a lot of different groups at the same time. I often have my team, I have my core team, and then I have others that I'm working with in my team, and then I have others in UIT, and then I have the stakeholders, and then I have a client. And all those individuals have thoughts and opinions about how things work, or how they should work, or what's available. And so for me, if this is outside of my immediate group, I will usually lean on a type of document like this, where I am soliciting feedback and getting consensus from multiple people. If it's just my small team, I have used this before, and I do continue to use this, but often, a lot of times, we move on things and we use another type of document called the architectural decision record, and we share those things because the feedback and collaboration is happening like in the code and the pull requests. So we have a slightly different type of feedback and collaboration workflow there. But anything that I'm doing that is large size within my team, I'll do this first. I want a consensus that individuals know that we're going to choose this tech stack, we're going to be hosting here, it's going to cost this much. These are our constraints, is really what I'm trying to talk to the team, and any risks involved. So okay, cool. No worries. So yeah, for this one, you get to set your thresholds, but I usually pick this when I need others' information, and it's more than my immediate group. If I already have a feedback collaboration process, I don't need to add on more. But if I want the document to live later on, even in my internal group, we'll have this or another similar type of document. So if you're working with others, absolutely do this.
I have a follow-up question on that.
Yeah.
When have you ran into a situation where the RFC is not enough of a template for certain project or scenario or something like that?
Yes. Sometimes this is a place where it helps me move forward, but it didn't answer all the questions. Like we get to a point where we don't know all the answers. So a lot of new things that are out there require like a proof of concept or like some effort of work that's out there. And we've got there as part of this. We're trying to plan something and we realize, oh, we don't know enough. We can't really make a decision on this because we have to find out more information. We can actually close that document and then move forward with more knowledge gaining. So that's the outcome of that RFC, is it didn't actually document what we're going to do. It documented that, oh, we don't know enough yet to move forward, which is also incredibly powerful because we didn't move forward and then get into building something where we didn't know what we were building and then have to change it and have that be way more expensive. We kind of figured that out on paper first and then went away and spent the time to gain more information before coming back and going again. Does that answer your question, or are you looking for like?
No, that helps. That brings into like how like RFC is really for, at least from what I understand right now, is like for what we all know right now, and for solicit those feedback from their knowledge, and then finding out like, oh, we know what we don't know, and then you move on to a different process to work on that.
Yeah, and sometimes you need to go and explore that, and sometimes you're okay with not knowing those things, and you'll figure it out as you go. but everybody is understanding that you're still figuring it out, and you still need to communicate that as you figure those things out. But it can be a place where, yeah, if you have that big gap where you're like, I just don't know what this thing is yet, then yeah, you need to spend some time. And that's good to know that. And it's good for other people to know that as well. So you can A, ask for the time to do it, and B, go ahead and go ahead with that risk and have everybody okay with that risk as well.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Steve. We have a hand raised from John. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I had a couple comments. One, going back to the template. The templates as provided, they are templates, so they're exhaustive. They're very verbose, and they have a lot of sections in them. You don't have to use all of them. That said, if you don't use them, drop them out, because Shay did mention oftentimes people won't read them. That's just a factor of people being very busy, but people are definitely not going to read something if you leave a lot of boilerplate comments in there. So make sure that you put the attention to detail into the RFC that you expect other people to put the attention to when they read it. The other one, going back to converging or how you decide if something requires an RFC. Shay and I, when we work together, we work in different tech stacks, and sometimes when he's the point where I would say that something requires an RFC is if it signifies either a philosophical change or a philosophical path. So Shay's working in a tech stack, and the architectural decisions that he's making might have implications about the way that we approach our work across different tech stacks. That's a great opportunity for an RFC, because I can look at it and I can say, with this language, with this tech stack, he's approaching this in this way. He's thinking about security, accessibility, scalability, performance. And I like this. I'll have comments on the approach that he's making. I don't care whether or not he's using Vue or React or Next.js. I can make comments on that just from a philosophical standpoint. So that's where the RFC process really comes into standardizing your practice across multiple different tech stacks and multiple different languages.
Yeah, that's a good point. So thank you very much for the comment, John. So yeah, the use of other systems is also a really nice way to share how you're going to use those, so they can have an idea of the impact on them. So that's a good point, John. So it's not only the soliciting of the feedback, but it's also communication on impact. And so others that they know, hey, this is going to change something for me, whether it's their system, their process, their like tool or design system or whatever they have later on is changing, and they have to need to be aware of that.
Thank you, Steve. We just had a great session. We're just right on time. A quick question from my side, Steve. Do you use RFC for meetings or some sort of things?
Do I use RFCs in meetings?
Yep.
I don't use them as like a note-taking thing, but we do have so with the presentation meeting, that is very much the like collaboration, write things down, take things. So in the meetings, these things should exist already. So if you are meeting with somebody about this, you should have it written down. You should have shared it beforehand, and then when you're together, you can go ahead and manipulate and massage it. Like there's something there to work on already. So if you're meeting with somebody to create it, that's great too. But yeah, and these things are really handy to reference once they exist.
Yeah, thank you. I think, yeah, was very good session. Thank you everyone for your insightful comments and the questions. I hope you would enjoy the rest of the webcam. See you and have a good day ahead. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Shay.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Have a good camp. We'll see you around. If you have any questions, feel free to reach